Alright guys, good evening, good evening. We are getting our first big storm of the year. It was hailing a little bit earlier, and I was outside. I was gonna get some video inside the rainwater tank and up at the rain roof. But once it started hailing, I'm like, I'm coming back inside. But it seems like the hail has subsided, so we're gonna brave it outside. But it's a pretty crazy storm. Look at all that water that's just going right there. So you can see how the water is just flowing down these little paths here, and then it's pooling up right in here. Tons of water going in there. Tons of water. Lots of water. Beautiful. Love it. The rain roof, it's working. Oh yeah, baby. So you can see right down there, there's our tiny house. You can see the lights barely. And then right here, just downstream from us, we've got a wash here, and see how much water is just flowing down this wash. It is crazy. And this is all free rainwater that we could be using to store in the ground. But since we don't have any earthworks done yet, it's just gonna flow right on down. All right, check this out. This is why it's important to put your trees in basins. So we have this water that's flowing right down here, and we can see that we're actually getting some infiltration into the basin here for this pomegranate tree. So the water's just flowing right down here. If I take my shovel and just kind of create a little channel, we'll get even more water for that pomegranate tree there. It is the morning after our first little monsoon storm of the year, so we got 7/8 of an inch of rain. When I was out in the rain yesterday, I showed you this little area right here. So the water was flowing down here, and it was actually pooling up right in this area right here, and then flowing down that way there. Just because there's so much water backed up here, there's almost kind of like a little tiny berm that was going right across here, and the water just poof, went right on through. So one of the main principles of rainwater harvesting is just kind of observing how the water flows and moves on your property. So I know that I can start implementing some rainwater harvesting earthworks upstream of this, and then we can keep kind of implementing them going all the way down this wash, because I'm going to show you where the water ended up going down here. All right, so we can see some of that water came and flowed down here across our road, and then we can walk down here a little bit further, and there's actually, I think this is where the majority of the water flowed down here. So we can see there's a lot of the water coming down here, and then even down here just a little bit further. And what I also noticed is that on this side of the road here, it's almost kind of bermed up from how we keep grading the road. And a lot of the water even traveled down our road right here. So that wash that I showed you up there split into another area right here, getting a lot more runoff. And then even coming down here, you can see that the water traveled down there, but it also kind of meandered down our road here. So one of the big benefits of implementing some rainwater harvesting earthworks is that it really prevents downflow or downstream flooding. So if you're having issues with erosion or runoff of your property, it's a really good opportunity just from observing what has been going on that you can go ahead and implement some rainwater harvesting earthworks. So the book that I definitely recommend for that is Brad Lancaster's book that's specifically about earthworks, and then it'll talk about all the different strategies that you could implement on a wash like this, on a wash area like this, that's going to capture, sink, and spread that water into the ground. I was so happy yesterday to see the rain coming down and see the rain roof working. We probably captured, I'm estimating just based on visually looking at where the tank was in the morning and where it was after the rainstorm, I'd say we captured probably around 1,200 to 1,500 gallons of water coming from the rain roof, so it definitely did its job. And on a storm getting less than an inch of rain, I'd say 1,200 to 1,500 gallons is basically right on par for the size of the rain roof. It's about 2,800 square feet, I think, about 2,800. So that seems about right to me. All right, I'm gonna be fixing the road up here with the box cannon, but this was definitely a very good learning experience or learning observation period, seeing the monsoons come in and seeing how the water is flowing on our property. It'll probably definitely flow in other parts as well, but specifically just with the rainstorm that we got yesterday, it just focused in on this area right here. One other thing that I noticed, so that's the wash that I just showed you guys, and then it actually split off and we got another bit of runoff coming right down here. So the water actually split off right here, and then it also flowed all the way down here, right down towards the road. So you can see what the wash looks like after the storm here. Looks a lot different. Obviously the ground is still quite moist, and yeah, a lot of erosion. You notice that obviously with such sandy and soft soil, it erodes very easily. So the earthworks are definitely going to help with the erosion. So if we walk up the wash here, I don't know if I can get through here. Yeah, I think I can barely. What we're gonna do, since this is obviously a main area where there's a lot of flow, there's a number of different earthworks that we could do. One mainly being the one rock check dam, and that'll kind of slow the water down a bit. But if we can start doing some type of, even a gabion, maybe even almost a small gabion wall, but I just don't think that the cut is deep enough to really kind of warrant a gabion. All right, so when we come up here, we can see that some of the water actually came from down here, and then also from up here. And what we can also do is if we do some small crescent swales right here, and say right here, and even right up here, that will reduce the amount of water that's going to be going into that wash. So we can see here how they all kind of converge going into this main one here. So we want to try to stop, sink, and spread the water when there's less of it. And then that'll also prevent basically the downstream runoff. So we can keep walking up here and we can see where the water's been flowing. So it's much easier to manage the water when it's in a much kind of like flatter and not such a serious wash. So this is kind of more of just like, you're gonna be seeing more sheet flow on here rather than like a deep cut into the soil. So we can focus on this area upstream here where the water is still, it's not gonna be as deep and as intense, and do some earthworks up here. So we can't really go too much further because our lot line is, it's somewhere up there. So I think if I just start in this area right here and do some earthworks, and then we can just do a series of them going down our property, and that's really going to help. A lot of people look at a wash like this and kind of see it as an issue, and I see it as a place where we can get, you know, tens of thousands of gallons worth of free rainwater. I'm sure there's probably at least 10,000 gallons that was flowing down here during the storm last night, and I mean, we could be growing some really massive native trees just on that natural rainfall there, but just using some strategies in order to capture and store that water in the ground so that the trees can use that as a pump and pump that water out of the ground. The trees are going to be bigger, they're going to be producing more food. Most, like all the native trees out here are pretty well, they produce some type of food, like the mesquite tree, the Palo Verde tree. They're all bean trees, so they do actually grow food on them. You wouldn't really realize that you're actually kind of in a food forest right now. Like on this one right here, on this mesquite, we can see some of the bean pods right here. And if these trees get a lot more water throughout the year just with doing these earthworks, then they're going to grow a lot better, produce more food, produce more shade, more vegetative cover. We want that vegetative cover so that as the water falls down onto the ground, it's going to be stored in the ground. So that's why mulch is such an important thing as well. And oh yes, the culvert cistern captured quite a bit of rainwater coming from the tiny house roof and from the awning roof here. So we can see here, let's see if we got any water. Oh yeah, D&H with a heart. It's so cute. So you can see here. Yeah, we got some rainwater coming out of here. Sweet. So the video course that I did with Joe for the culvert cistern, that's up for sale now. So if you want to learn how we did this, check out that video course. I'll leave a link in the description and in the comments section as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. Talk to you soon. Peace.